This episode is sponsored by our friends at Ian's Display Accessories, the best figure stands for iconic Star Wars, G.I. Joe, as well as modern action figures, shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another fun-filled and informative episode of Codename New to Hero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, GIJoe Are You. Now, during our last episode where we looked at the Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Wolverine action figure, I basically hinted about a new direction that Hasbro is going as far as packaging for their action figures. Gone will be the days of the open window setup that is universally used by GIJoe Classifieds, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series. In an effort to become leave less carbon footprint, we are going to be getting an all cardboard box. In the sense that I guess I'm a little confused because I thought that plastic is also recyclable. So I still don't understand this, but at the same time, if it's going to help the planet, I'm all for it. But a lot of people have been wondering about this offering. We're going to take a look at the Blue Ninjas that has recently come out from Hasbropulse. And the fact of the matter is, the Blue Ninjas are indeed a canon character. They're utilized by a group called Revanche, which is basically Skynet from Terminator. They're self-aware robots that are trying to kill off both G.I. Joe and Cobra at the same time. Actually, the Blue Ninjas are responsible for killing Cobra Commander's son, Billy. And in a big shocker that kind of brought the Baroness, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes all together to destroy Revanche's head robot, I guess. It's a wonderful stories. I think around issue 160 or 158, if I remember off the top of my head. But it was one of those early, right after the line got rebooted again, and IDW picked it up. So basically, it was really emotional too. It was sad when Billy died, but these guys were responsible for killing Billy. So they're very much canon. I wouldn't call them Cobra because they're actually Revanche. But anyway, we're going to take a look at these figures as well as kind of compare it with the black, because a lot of people are saying that the Blue Ninjas are basically recolored of the Red Ninjas, which is true, but at the same time, what makes this unique is that it includes a female ninja. Now, we've got to remember, from 1982 to 1994, female action figures were few and far in between. I mean, basically, you could count them on one hand almost. But lately, with this classified lines, you got to give credit for Hasbro for bringing more female action figures to the masses. Now, the only thing is missing is bringing more diverse characters. And Larry Hama has basically given the blueprint on incorporating these new characters to appeal to today's youth. We have one character named Sherlock who's disabled. So again, just a whole bunch of things that G.I. Joe can very easily appeal to this modern, younger generation. And it does have a future. It's up to Hasbro to give offerings that will attract these young people. But anyway, let's take a look at this particular two-figure set. Also, today in the background, we're featuring Sega Genesis's Royal Rumble by LJN. An absolutely terrible shit game where all you do is mash buttons and see what the hell happens. It is hilarious. Also, I want to make an announcement of our new series. We're going to be doing a series called Late Night, where I take a old console, be it Nintendo, Super Nintendo, GameCube, N64, Sega Dreamcast, Genesis, whatever. I mean, I have like 13 old systems here. And we're going to play a game on a CRT/tube TV set. Basically, just to remember those days when you come back from school, you toss your books and you plop right in front of the TV to do a little bit of gaming before your parents come home, yell at you to do your homework. So I just wanted to recapture that feeling again. And what better way than through a old CRT TV set? Now, of course, the picture is going to look shit through the video, but in person, CRT sets are worth saving from junkyards. They are the best when you use it to play DVDs and retro gaming. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Blue Ninja. And real quickly, I gotta thank this episode's sponsor, Ian's Display Accessories. Ian is just simply amazing. Whether it's your retro Star Wars or G.I. Joe figures, to modern Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classifieds, even boxes, Ian's is the answer. He is a preferred vendor for Star Wars and gets invited to be on the floor during celebrations. Now, what I point out is the circumference of their retro line. This means that you're able to put more figures on the shelf versus the old square ones that you get from China or somewhere. So, if you're looking for figure stands, there's no one better than Ian's Display. Keep your dollars here in America versus sending to get stands from China or God knows where else. Ian's Display stands. Check out the link. Alrighty, so we got the Red Ninja on standby when we get to that point, but let's take a look at the box art. Again, like I said, gone are the days of the plastic window. This is the beginning of this new procedure. But here's the thing. I'm indifferent any other way. You know, I really don't see how removing recyclable plastic and why an all carbon cardboard is better. But then again, I'm not a recycling expert. So I do recycle. I'm very vigilant in my recycling and saving the planet and doing giving our contribution to saving the planet. But I still don't see it, but whatever. So the box art for the Blue Ninjas, Revanche Ninjas, is quite interesting. I like the fact that it's an action sequence. Again, the side thing, we'll let our good friend HCC78 tell you what these mean. He does a really hilarious job coming up with stuff. The back of the box, again, very simple, straightforward. We see all the accessories. I like how they give their their measurements, so you get an idea since you can't see it physically. So you want to provide as much information without physically seeing the item itself. But if you look at the Blue Ninja, yeah, it is basically pretty much the Red Ninja reissued. But here's the intriguing one to me, the female ninja. I think, again, since we didn't get them in the retro line, I am more drawn to the female action figures. I think they're interesting. They show you the reality of what the real world play scenarios are, because men and women, like I said, I just would like to see more diversity. And Larry Hama has basically laid out the blueprint for Hasbro to incorporate that. Remains to be seen what direction Hasbro goes in. All right, so I'm pulling out my trusty Craftsman lock blade and let's give this thing a swirl. Alrighty. So right off the bat, this will be your presentation when you get it right out of the box. You get, I guess this is the accessory box, and these are the two figures side by side. I guess that's nice. I don't have any complaints. I think that's basically, we've been getting some iteration of this. I mean, Hasbro's been preparing us for this with these O-ring offerings as well. They're pretty much the same setup, so it's not that big of a deal to me. I know some people are pissed off about it, but then again, it is what it is. I think this is pretty cool, and it's worth showing how this is wonderfully packaged, actually. You have a little foot locker here, and I like that they went like these wrapping of using the G.I. Joe and Cobra sign. I think that's a nice touch to it and deserves high praise. I wasn't expecting that, actually. This is just a regular, all the policy and procedure shit. But this is a nice thing. I actually want to be careful opening it to preserve it. So pretty much when you open each wrapping, one bag is allocated for the male and another bag is allocated for the female action figure. But once again, I gotta say that I'm pretty impressed with that. That is a nice touch to include this with each action figure and that little foot locker over there. Nice touch. Okay, so as I'm starting to put together everything, I've noticed a few things. Right off the bat, I'm gonna point this out. If you the long sword here is already pre-colored. Oh, let's get that in focus. Where when the Red Ninja, put that back. The Red Ninja actually did not. I mean, I did, but you could see that, you know, initially it was just all black, and then I painted it with myself, as well as these, oh gosh, I forgot the name of it, the Chukchuka or something like that. Well, whatever, the little grappling claws. You know, this one also, the Blue Ninjas don't offer that. But the swords and everything, look, the regular katana or the ninja sword, this is, you know, you got the silver wrap for that, where the original one does not. So again, that's painted by me. So that's not, that didn't come with the figure. You could tell that I painted that. So this is the Red Ninja. But again, the blue one, it does come included. So that's a nice touch. The size are pretty much the same. You know, we all know this from Raphael, but they're the same one. Everything is the same from the Red Ninja and this. It's just that that paint application was different. Alrighty, so here we have the red and blue ninjas next to each other side by side. And to be honest with you, I'm actually excited because G.I. Joe, you have to reuse stuff, reuse action figures, parts, or what have you. So I'm kind of honored that they did this. Now recall that the Red Ninjas in the Retro line, which was 1993 if I remember, was actually a reissue of Dice, I believe. So again, it's just following that lineage, and that's what makes this kind of cool. The accessories, again, as much as they have the red and blue ninjas timber, they fit. Now this setup with the blue ninja that I have with the axes on the back, I don't recommend that. If you see with the red ninja, he's actually using the red axes. In the back I have his size. So that kind of looks a little bit better versus, you know, having the axes and tucked up behind him. The other thing I'm going to point out is his longbow. I gotta go and look under my accessories if the Red Ninja came with the red bow. I want to say yes, but it's just been so long that I forgot. The other thing is his like Shogun, like whatever this thing is, the additional head sculpt. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any, I mean, me above all people would never do that, but I don't know what this is called, but it's a different, I know that, you know, it's synonymous with ninjas, samurais, to have like a dark, this looks like Darth Maul, to be honest with you. So let's just say the Darth Maul head. So you could pop his head and put on the Darth Maul head if you want to. That entirely up to you. But again, this Revanche Blue Ninja, let's start saying it correctly because it's not Cobra, is a wonderful addition. I like it. It's just G.I. Joe history. That's why I like it so much. It sounds cheesy and stupid, but that's what G.I. Joe is all about. Alright, so now we're going to move to the female. And I'm actually more impressed with the female Blue Ninja than I am with the male, obviously, because it's just a reissue. But if you look at, this is going to be tough. But if you look at this, her second head sculpt, there's actually, it's tough, what I know, guys. It's tough, but if you look at, you'll see when you get the figure, there's a Cobra insignia right in the forehead region. I thought that was kind of interesting, even though it's not Cobra, it's Revanche. And also on the back of her backpack for her arrows, there's the Arashikage symbol right there. So that's interesting. I mean, the blue, even in the Larry Hama, more of the lore, um, the red ninjas would have that, not the blue ninjas. So that's interesting. But also, there's a big missed opportunity. I think that she should have had a something like for this grapple. Like, I think that should be dangling from her waist. So that's a miss right there. But overall, like, I like her eyes are all whitened out. The same thing with the males. I like the setup of her katana and her backpack to maximize space. That's another win, I think. But yeah, there would be so much cooler if she had something from the hip where that grapple could just dangle off of. It would make more sense too. But again, this is a nice, very impressive figure. And just for comparison, she's a little bit shorter than Lady J. And this is the Origin Scarlet. Again, just a little bit shorter than Scarlet. But still, it's a nice range and a nice representation of this. I think she looks great. I'm more impressed with the female Blue Ninja than anything. And of course this box back here in the packaging. It's really nice offering. But again, like, just going back to what's going on with the comics, that thing of killing Billy really, really fucked up G.I. Joe and Cobra at the same time. And eventually, Cobra Commander did avenge his son. Spoiler alert. But how he goes about doing it, like, for a brief second, you get the hope that, oh, Cobra Commander has some sense of honor. But then he goes right back to being Cobra Commander. So that's what was good about that whole story arc. But for a brief second, he acted like a dad. And he was like, and I think that was kind of tragic in the whole story arc, that it took Revanche killing his son for him to act like a father, and it was too late. But also the whole dynamics of how, because Billy was supposed to be the successor of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. He was going to be the heir apparent to the Arashikage clan. But it ended up being Sean Collins, who now is donning the Snake Eyes uniform. And for all Cobra knows, that's Snake Eyes. They don't know that the original Snake Eyes died. So that's what makes all of this really intriguing to me, since I've been recapping the comics since 2015. It just brings everything. The figures are now connected to and that's how it should be. That's how it was with us with the Marvel run. It's like the toys connected us to not just the TV shows, but the comics as well. So I think that's what's kind of cool and special about this offering in particular, that it's bringing the IDW G.I. Joe's comics and giving us that same sense with the Marvel comics. Remember that point, because I think, it makes sense once you spend as much time as I have with the G.I. Joe mythos. So these are just my final thoughts. I think this is a great offering. Like I said, it brings the IDW, the comic series, and the action figures together. I know we're going to get that Kimikura, the Sean Collins action figure in his Devil's Due outfit. So we have a little bit of the IDW run with these. And I know when the Kimikura action figure comes, it's going to give us the Devil's Due version of Sean Collins. And it seems like if they just expand this a little bit more and incorporate what Larry Hama has done, especially towards the end of the IDW run. And the sad thing is, officially, G.I. Joe Hasbro is trying to distance themselves from the Larry Hama. And I did an episode about that. They're trying their best to distance themselves from the whole Larry Hama mythos. And I think that's a bad decision. I mean, incorporate some elements. Like I said, Sherlock is a new character with a disability. So you could bring in, especially in this whole woke shit or whatever you want to call it, but the fact of the matter is you want to not make it exclusive. You want to make it to include everybody. So, and then also with the addition of Mongoose, who's actually me, like, you know, someone that's Muslim that served the country. My dad was the first Marine during the Vietnam era. Like, it's making it American. Did you hear what I said? That's the path that G.I. Joe needs to go. Make it America. Like, you know, real American hero. And Americans are all shades, all colors, all abilities. I mean, Larry Hama basically set up the blueprint. And it would be tragic if G.I. Joe doesn't incorporate at least some elements. I understand, but at the same time, incorporate some elements. And I think that's what Larry Hama wants to leave behind at the end of this IDW run, is some springboard into something else. So with that aside, this is Shabu Are You. Stay tuned. We're going to do a special. We're going to look at probably the last IDW one-shot offerings. And boy, is IDW going out with the bang with these two wonderful offerings. The best of Storm Shadow and the best of Snake Eyes. But it's not what you think. It's not the hits, the greatest hits, because they already recapped that. These are going to be storylines that you would not think of, which makes these offerings even extra special. So make sure you stay tuned for that. This is Shabu Are You. We'll see you next time. Bye.